What episode is it? It's a good start. Intro. Your golden opportunity to wear Panthers gear, Chris, and you passed it up.
Unbelievable.
I should have, man. Ooh, you did it. You
Of course.
did it.
Look at that. Look at that. Jose with the
Jeez.
actual Stanley Cup champion gear. Yes.
We are an
Inter Miami
podcast,
paraphernalia, because we are an Inter Miami podcast. We are the Heron Heads, and thank you so much for joining us for episode, I think, 87. We seem to have lost count at some point over the last few episodes. So thanks for joining us on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. My name's Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Dave, Chris, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, thanks for stopping by. For those of you watching live on YouTube, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the show. And a huge shout out to our chief Heron Heads, Matias, Chao, Abu, Ava, and Marivi. Thank you so much for the continued generous support. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you'll find a link in the description wherever you are listening. Also in the description, links to our Discord server, links to our merch store, and I think that's it. So on that note, we have a match week now after we had a 10-day break. We had a week off, essentially. Got to watch some Copa America, some Euro, and now it's an MLS match week. So Inter Miami take on Nashville for the millionth time over the past 5 months, it seems, 6 months. So let's talk about what that's going to look like. There's also some news going on with some players. We saw some news today from or regarding Diego Gomez and Federico Redondo. So we can dive into that. But how's everyone feeling? How are we doing? Are we excited for Inter Miami getting back on the pitch?
Back to beating up on the little brother again, am I right? Seems like Nashville's just like, meh.
Mukhtar
Another
Doghouse.
team. Mukhtar Doghouse. When are you making the shirt, Jose? Mukhtar Doghouse. When's that coming?
It's currently in the works.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Let us know.
But
man, we're back.
I'm excited. We have right now a 2-game win streak for Nashville heading into this game. 2-game win streak for Inter Miami heading into this game. To, Clash of Titans, if you will. So it should be a fun game. They have Mukhtar playing still. They also have Surge playing. He's been pretty good in the last few games. He had a nice 2-goal game two games ago. And then Walker Zimmerman is always a solid option for them at center back. So that's that. Their main guys are pretty much in it. I think Schaffelberg is out. I don't think he's playing. So that sucks for them. Also, we are not going to be able to watch his golden locks flowing down the field. So that in itself is a shame. But other than that, it's for on the pitch, great. He's not playing.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was about to just say Schaffelberg, because that's all I had to bring to the hype here. Because I mean, how many times can we hype ourselves up to play the same team? Are we going to play them anymore during the regular season? Because I feel like we have to have had filled our quota with Nashville games, right?
Probably meet him at Leagues Cup again and beat him again.
Oh yeah, in the tournament it's fine, but I mean in the regular season, like, come on, enough's enough.
You are on mute.
You're on mute, friend.
Jose, why is Schaffelberg not playing?
I want to say that he is out.
God.
Right, he's on the Canadian national team for Copa America. Very good. As is Shaq Moore for the U.S. men's national team, so he will also be unavailable to Nashville. We have, obviously, a number of players unavailable to us as well. We will not have Messi. We will not have Suarez. We will not have Matias Rojas. And it's Shaq Moore gave us problems last time we played them. So that'll be interesting. Schaffelberg obviously brings a lot of dynamic play, and he's fast, which Jose rates very highly. So that pace will be missing, and we'll we'll see how Nashville sort of comes out and plays against us. Mukhtar's been better versus the last time we played them, which I think was in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember if the last game we played against them was MLS match, but if it wasn't an MLS match that we played them, we will play them at least one more time in league play. But yeah, Nashville is going to be interesting. We have had their number of late, and Inter Miami have found
3-1 last game. 3-1.
Was it league play or was it a tournament?
It was on April 20th.
fantastic. Great. I'm going to go ahead and venture a guess that was league play because we played them in CONCACAF Champions Cup, I think, sometime in March. I think by April we were already...
Enjoy.
It was a regular season match.
Yeah.
3-1 regular season.
Obviously.
Yeah. Obviously. Indubitably. But unbelievable stuff. You just totally derailed my train of thought. I have no idea where to go from here. Thanks, Jose. Just pick it up. Give us some stats. What do you got?
Both teams are undefeated the last two games heading into this match.
Didn't you just say that? You already said that.
Sure is.
Oh my god.
It's just recycling.
So anyways,
You keep them in the spot.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel.
It's really bad. So Inter Miami, they've found some good results despite missing Messi specifically. We had a really great result against that team that we played last time, Columbus. And, I think what's really promising is that we're getting contributions from players that really have needed to step up. We saw Leo Afonso with the late winner. And then in this last match, you had contributions from some of the midfielders. Yannick Bright has been playing really well. We saw Ian Frey have an incredible debut for the season. And it's very promising for what we have ahead of us. There's some really difficult opponents coming up that we're going to have to play with this sort of, I don't want to say makeshift lineup, but it's going to be a proof of our depth and what we're capable of when we have these players out. So I'm excited. And like I mentioned earlier, Diego Gomez and Fede Redondo were both at training today, full training participants. So, when they were both healthy towards the beginning of the season, they were the most fun non-Messi named players on the team, I would say. So the idea of getting them back is really exciting.
Yeah, they were meshing right before they both got hurt. They were meshing so well with the team, and they were the glue really that connected the defense to the attack at the end of the day. And then we abruptly lost both of them, and it just it wasn't as nice. It wasn't as flowing, the soccer that we were watching. And man, if we could get them both back, I don't know if they'll start. They're probably not fit to start. I would assume that they would probably sub in or maybe start and just play 60 minutes or something. I don't know, but they haven't played in a long time. And especially with Redondo getting a second injury, and then with the rumors of him being upset that they rushed him back too quick or whatever, I'm sure they would caution how they put him in again now and just ease him in more so than what they did last time. So, but yeah, man, if we could get them both playing again, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. We've seen 2 matches already without Messi, without Suarez. And so obviously we thought it was going to be very bad, but we've gotten 2-0, like Jose said twice already. And hey, this makeshift team, like Julio was saying, is starting to mesh. They've had 2 matches under their belt already. They played, first game was iffy. The last game against Columbus, they played very well. I expect them to take the next step against Nashville. Nashville's not a huge threat. Yes, Mukhtar's been playing a little better. But at the end of the day, they're still not the Nashville of old. They just fired their coach recently. So there's a lot of turmoil going on there. And I expect us to continue to build from those last 2 wins. And if these 2 guys come in here and take off from where they were at, shoot, the sky's the limit here.
I do want to point out that Nashville have only lost one of their last 8 games. So even though they've only won their last 2, They are mixing in draws and wins, so they're maintaining a level of consistency that at least isn't losing the matches. And I mean, we know that Nashville has pieces that can give us problems. They're very big and physical on their set pieces, right? Walker Zimmerman is always an issue. I mean, it feels like when we play them, if we're up or tied late in the game, it seems like they always find a way to get like 4 straight corners against us. And we're just watching Walker Zimmerman just like prowling in the box. And at any moment, he can strike. And then, of course, Mukhtar just being so dangerous on the ball, so dangerous when he's in transition, that even though they haven't had the best season so far, they are constantly a danger. And there's something to be said, I think, about the familiarity that they have with us. And, they sort of know what to expect. They sort of know what intensity they need to bring to the match to match up against what we're going to be bringing. And while we don't have the Messis and the Suarez right now, I think we're in for an interesting match. I think going in to these matches during this Copa America break, we're sort of getting a flavor of what to expect, but we still don't know what to expect with this Inter Miami team. There's still there's always that feeling that something still might go completely wrong. And, Chris, you were just mentioning how they're starting to mesh. Cool. 2 players that we're getting back, and we're going to throw them into the mix, into the blender. So all that chemistry might just go out the window, and we might have to start from square one again.
I was gonna say that exact thing. We have a 2-game win streak, and I feel like those 2 games were with quite different rosters. Like that first match that we played, we had those 2 red cards, and yeah, they pulled out a win with down 2 guys. And then the next match, guess what? You don't have those 2 players. You inject happy birthday Ian Frey into the lineup, and it makes a world of a difference.
Huge game.
And then now we're gonna have 2 more new additions. And again, we still have guys out from red card accumulation. Is that true? So it's still an even more dynamic group that isn't what we're really accustomed to, and they're gonna have to figure it out too. And I think Cello he worked out today. Individually, he didn't work out with the group, so we probably won't be seeing Cello. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the back line and who gets to start where and what formation they go out with. But yeah, it's they don't even have consistency in the last 3 games, and that's not even counting the main players that are out. So it's amazing that this squad has been able to pull together as many victories as they have with the inconsistency in the lineups that they have. That's a testament to Lionel Messi and Suarez. But now in the last 2 games, you have to give credit to Tata, because he's been able to pull through. And if they can, again, win another match with another group of players that haven't really had a lot of minutes together, that's another feather in Tata's hat. And I know a lot of the fans are not happy with that. But that seems to be a common thread now in soccer, both domestically and internationally. I see the they're all pissed off about Southgate, and we all know in the U.S. how much we hate Berghalter, and yeah, it seems that the coach seems to always be the scapegoat, but the players have to be the ones that get it done, and thankfully for us here in Inter Miami, the players have been figuring it out.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned before that the when we played them in the CCC, we did beat them, and it was a 2-2 and then 3-1. But what I saw when I was looking back at that game, Schaffelberg was a huge difference maker for them, playing against us, and it's one of those things where we're not gonna have to deal with that, right? And that's always been like I feel like our deficiency, where we have a hard time handling the counters and the speedy wings. Where right now, I mean, Serge is obviously he's been doing well for them, right? But I don't think he's a Schaffelberg. I think I'm always very concerned when I see Schaffelberg on the wing against us, because he flies by us. Cello, I think would have held his own, but now with Ian Frey, that would be a fun matchup. Now Serge with Ian Frey. Let's see how he deals with it. Just that's one of the fun things about having this Copa America, right? Where you're seeing your team, you're diving into to the depth, and you're seeing how they handled it. You're seeing Bright, which he had a very bright game. So it's one of those things where it's like let's see how we handle it. Just this is someone we know. They know us very well as well. They know what we're trying to do, but they know what we're trying to do with Messi, right? Like when we don't play with Messi, we're a very different team, right? Like we're not really trying to Messi pendencia. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a little more free in that sense where we're not really trying to feed him. You know, I'd rather do that. But, you know, it's a different style.
I feel like when we don't have Messi on the field, there's a lot higher energy from box to box for the club. You're on mute. You're on mute. I know you're trying to interrupt me, but you're on mute. What was that, Jose?
The 50-50 balls. That's what we always talk about when he's not around.
Yeah, 50-50 balls, but not just that. It's just like the aggressiveness and chasing after the ball. When Messi's in there, he's not playing any kind of defense. Even Suarez, to some effect, is really hanging back. But when you have all these young guys in there, they're really getting after it, and it applies more pressure, and it kind of creates more turnover and counter-attacking opportunities on that end. And that alleviates the pressure on the back line when the entire team is really getting after it as well. So that's one positive. The negative on that is you don't have lightning in a bottle with Messi who can strike at any time. And that's why you have to kind of utilize these moments without him to really harness these young guys so that when we do inject Messi and Suarez into the lineup, you can really come up with the perfect formula. And yeah, I mean, it's a positive spin what you just said, that it's fun to watch this while Copa America is going on in the Euros. But you know what? I'd rather we just not play while those guys are away, like every other league around the world. Oh yeah, I want Messi gone. Absolutely. Yep. Antonio, hey, we are self-aware here. Without Messi, we know that 80% of our fans of this podcast and 80% of Inter Miami won't be watching. So come on.
Drives over the puddle and cries when he spills when he dirties his car.
I drive over a puddle and cry about the spilled milk.
Is Tata a better coach? Are his coaching tactics better when Messi is not playing? From what we've seen this season,
it's to an extent maybe. It's similar to the argument of why we play better box to box when Messi's not playing. Is the team as a whole can sort of play the tactics as an 11 rather than playing a man down on certain phases of the game. Like when you have Messi, you know, sort of waiting for the moment to attack rather than for example, David Ruiz running around trying to get the ball constantly, it changes sort of what you can do. And rather than having these like dead zones on the pitch, it's all activated all at once. So I think I don't want to say it's easier to coach a team without Messi, because Messi makes your life easier as a coach because he can, you know, like we were saying, he can strike at any moment. So that changes like the math. But when you have these other players that have to sort of do what the coach wants them to do, I think it makes a more cohesive unit rather than you have this one individual element that can change the dynamic of a game at any moment, which is equally, if not more so valuable when we're talking about like a Messi. But when you have the whole team, it sort of just changes how a tactic is rolled out.
Like an Edmonton versus Panthers, if you will.
just like that. Why don't you dive into that a little bit more, Jose?
McDavid is a superstar, and they rely on him very often. And then you have a Panthers team, and that's just way more, has more depth, and there's more flow to the offense. That's what you're saying, Julio.
So explain why Inter Miami had the best record in the league before Messi left.
No, we did not. We did not until Messi. No, I'm saying until Messi got here.
I mean the first half of the season.
No, he's talking about this season. Yeah.
When Messi was in the team and we were the star.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense at all. Right. No, I'm talking about before Messi
Or-
in general. Well, and even and furthermore, before Messi got here last year.
Furthermore, and hitherto, and ipso facto, quid pro quo.
Correct. But yeah, plus 260 Miami. If anyone is interested in this game's, to
Just
gambling portion of the game.
chugs right along. Yeah, okay. Let's get to the betting odds.
I do think
I'm
it's
a bet.
interesting.
If I'm a betting man, I'm not placing a bet on Inter Miami this game. My dad's gonna ask me later tomorrow. He's gonna say, "What do you think?" I'm gonna say, "I don't believe. I'm not a believer in this particular thing because it's exactly what we're describing. We're basically saying this is we're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall and we're seeing what sticks. Whereas Mukhtar is still there and he's their best player.
Wow, no
Right?
guts. So Jose has no
It's
guts.
not. It's not. I'm not gonna throw money when I don't even know how we're gonna blend there. I feel like
It's also home for Nashville, so that
home
throws a
for
different.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Home for Nashville, but it's you when with these games without seeing Messi on the pitch, without having that factor that Julio says, it just elevates us. You're kind of hoping that people step up instead of we're hedging our bets that Robert Taylor is gonna be a good Robert Taylor, and you really don't know if you're gonna get that or not.
Speaking of good and bad Robert Taylor, how about Campana? We keep talking about hot and cold Robert Taylor, but we gotta start questioning which Campana are we gonna get. He's hot and cold as well. We never know.
He scored a goal last match.
Yeah,
correct.
Against all odds.
That's right. Well, against his will, really, according to Jose.
He did not want to score in that game.
Wait, so just really quickly going back to sort of the betting odds, because I do think it's interesting when we talk about like the outlook for the game, and we'll give our official predictions later. But Jose, you mentioned that you're not going to bet on Inter Miami at plus 260, which is fine. What would you bet on in this game?
I think the easier bet is probably a tie. A tie with if I were to do a parlay, I would do a tie and a Mukhtar goal. I think he's absolutely due against us. We have had him in a doghouse. He has not everything that we've ever heard about him when he plays against other teams. I haven't seen it. Every time we play against him, that guy is shut down. I don't know what Boosie does to him, but it just like gives him the shivers. He just doesn't want to play. But
he hasn't been a huge goal scorer though this season. I think he only has like 4 goals. He's done most of his work as like a true number 10, assisting. Yeah, that's where he's really done this season.
I think he's due. I don't know what to tell you. Figure it out. And I think Robert Taylor's due as well. So that would be a fun parlay. Or even throw in a Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba had a terrible game last game. I feel like he's not one to have multiple bad games one after the other. That would be a fun one.
So I'm gonna make a quick little parlay to get the official odds, but I would bet on both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, because I think Inter Miami's defense, while it was good this last match, and Ian Frey definitely impressed, I think it's going to be really hard to stop Nashville at home. They're sort of middle of the pack as far as their record goes. They're 5-4-2 or 4-5-2 at home, which is for the Eastern Conference, it's like 4th or 5th. But their goal record is 17 goals for, 12 against. And then Inter Miami, I think they'll be able to string together a scoring opportunity or two that finds the back of the net. But defensively, we know they can be leaky. And I think just at home, even if we were playing in Miami, I would say probably the same thing. We have the tendency to be leaky at times, and Nashville will understand how to counter us. Sam Surridge, I just go back to like the familiarity. I think it will be really, I think it'll be really interesting. I think it'll be high scoring in the sense of it won't be this slugfest. It won't be this 0-1 grind. And I think the goals will fly. So I'm going to put together that 2-leg parlay really quick and tell you what the odds are on that. But that's what I personally am going to likely bet on. Also, we're not financial advisors and bet responsibly, all that.
0-1. Did you know that score incoming?
Did you know that draw is the same odds as Miami winning? plus 270 according to ESPN Bet. I don't know about Hard Rock and all that stuff, but
it was plus 260 on Hard Rock.
yeah, on ESPN Bet is plus 270, same as.
Okay, plus 275 to tie, plus 260 for Inter Miami to win.
So both
Interesting.
teams to score and over 2.5 is minus 140, which I think is fair. And then the other thing I would be interested in too is taking the double chance, which is tie or Inter Miami to win at minus 120.
Oh,
I think those are interesting.
You could do that on Hard Rock Bets.
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was one or the other.
Act like you've been there, Jose.
Yeah, I thought it was. I've never done that. That's cool.
Yeah, but I think those are
That's way better.
interesting. I think those are interesting. If you think that, you know, Inter Miami with the pieces that they have, Nashville with the pieces that they're missing, that they're able to overcome and at least get a result. Because I think, realistically speaking, I think a draw is a really favorable result given that we're playing at Nashville. Can we go in and get a win? I think yes. You know, can we control the midfield? Not completely negate Mukhtar, because I think that's an unreasonable ask, but can we do enough to sort of bother him and force him to play the ball out wide where they have to figure out how to get it back in? And, you know, we have our defenders heading balls out, clearing, Drake commanding the box. I think that will be most important, is making them push the balls out to the wings and forcing them to cross it in. I don't really think that poses too much of a problem. We'll see, because those are essentially run of play set pieces. And we sometimes have a problem with the bouncing ball, but you know, I think it's definitely a possibility. I think it's definitely reasonable to think that we could get a win, but I think it would be a very favorable result to come out with a draw.
If you ask probably any of us before Copa America or before the international break, if we would be happy with getting 7 points in the first 3 games, I think we would all say absolutely yes, and we'd say that's probably not going to happen. But we have the possibility of that happening if it is a tie. So a tie is not the end of the world, especially with the outcomes of the last 2 matches. Obviously, we want to win. I'm not throwing that out, but a tie isn't the end of the world. Like Julio said, we're going to Nashville. We're playing with a lot of different pieces. If Redondo, if Gomez come back, so a tie isn't the end of the world for this match.
So I guess we're pretty much done with our predictions, right? Or
no one said anything.
We haven't done any predictions.
Just saying it's not the end of the world. It is.
All right. Let's go into predictions. 2-2 tie.
Have you not done this before?
Never.
Oh my God. Julio, do the thing.
Hijacked. He just hijacked everything.
Is David Radamus in the building to do his predictions?
I mean, it could have just been after me. I mean, you know.
Jose, I thought you were going to prepare a song for this.
So Dave Stradamus's captain hat seems to be missing. So luckily,
Disaster Ramos.
In honor of the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, we're gonna go right here. So we still got Dave Stradamus here. It's a little different. Wow, I actually see the perfect prediction here by AZ Rebellion in honor of the Game 7 victory by our Florida Panthers. 2-1. Inter Miami wins this one.
Who scores?
That's a good. I mean, I wasn't thinking about that, but let's see.
Keep me on your toes.
I'm gonna say Campana finds the back of the net.
Allegedly.
And not Robert Taylor.
Never.
I'm gonna say Campana, and I think Gomez. If Gomez plays, he's gonna find the back of the net. It's gonna come in hot.
So Campana reluctantly will score, not Robert Taylor. And Gomez, if he's okay to walk and run, he will score.
His comments
Chris,
are so good sometimes.
Chris, take us away.
Yeah, let's do. I'm gonna go with a tie at 3-3. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. Mukhtar is still there. just because Schaffelberg's not there is not the end of the world for them. I think they still have plenty of firepower against our shaky defense. I think they're going to score some, and yeah, man, I think we're going to score, especially if Gomez is back, if Redondo's back. I want to say Campana's going to score, because it's very difficult to predict really anyone else right now. So I'll say Campana's going to score. I think Afonso's going to get another one to build off of the last couple matches that he's had. And yeah, I like the Gomez pick, David. I think if Gomez plays, Gomez gets another one. So 3-3 tie.
If Busi and Gomez and Redondo are together, I would love that. They created magic when they were playing before the injuries. We'll love to see it before he gets shipped out. Boom.
There you go. No, you're good. So I'm gonna go with 3-2, and I think we get
There it is.
a brace by Campana. And then the third goal will be from, I'm going to say Gressel. He's gotten into a good little run of form. He's played some really good games with the superstars absent. And I think he's sort of, we talk about like grasping the opportunity and taking the opportunity when these players are out to sort of step into the spotlight, as Robert Taylor should, but hasn't.
Imagine that.
I agree. Know what that was. Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
So then I think Gressel's really done that to this point. He's really stepped up. He's played really well. He's getting on the score sheet, and I think he keeps it going. Campana, always a special place in my heart, of course. I think he does sort of get more in the flow, get more in the rhythm, and he seems disjointed. He seems like he doesn't really know what to do. Maybe he's just sort of soul searching and looking to understand how to play within the system. And I think he starts getting going. He was able to find some space in the box. His positioning was really good on the goal that he did score, as reluctantly as we may say that he scored it. But I think he finds himself in some good positions and is able to score. As far as the formation and who actually starts the game, I don't think Gomez or Redondo get the start. I think both potentially make an appearance as a substitute. I would be more surprised if Redondo plays than Gomez. I think Gomez will be the first that we see of the two, just because of how Redondo's reaction was to coming in, quote unquote, too soon last time around. So I think if either of the two play, it'll be Gomez first. Obviously, I have no idea, but that's just my best guess. And, it'll be really nice to see how he comes back. Gomez, we talked about before he left, how he was finally like hitting a run of consistent form, and he had been so up and down. So I'm really interested to see how he comes back. Is it going to be the Gomez that was really maybe the best player on our team outside of Messi?
Whoa.
Can you let me finish my statement before you continue to cut me off? And then are we going to see the Gomez that every time he got into the attacking third, just put it into the last row of the stadium? So, I'd be really interested to see how he reintegrates to the team. And I don't know if one of you guys wants to talk about the news that came out as far as like the transfer rumors with Diego Gomez, but it seems like we may not know, or we may not be able to see for long which Gomez is going to show up.
Yeah, it looks like Inter Miami actually turned down an offer to sell to Brighton of the Premier League. I think they offered $8.5 million to buy Gomez, and obviously that's not enough. They're not going to sell their highest rated young player for that amount of money. So yeah, I mean that means the talks are happening. Brighton is interested in getting him, and honestly, for his future growth and development, I think that's fantastic. If he ends up going to a club like Brighton, that's a club that has taken young players and has really beefed up their market value, and then they end up going
to Chelsea
for an extraordinary amount of money. So if that's the case, great. I hope to see Gomez in Chelsea blue in a matter of 3 years, and really hope that he's the next coming. But honestly, it's something that's nice. I know when we first started this podcast, Jose's main goal for signing these young players was to flip them. So if that's something that happens, then maybe Jose will finally get what he wanted, and it's a little bit of money that we don't see a penny of.
No, it's not necessarily that. It's more big brain, David. Let me explain to you how that works. We
Get the whiteboard out.
Yeah, we get the younger players, we sell them, we get bigger players that are better. That's what I'm saying. So right now we've developed Gomez. We bought him very low. We've created this great specimen of a player, and now we can reap the benefits.
I don't think that us signing a big player is predicated on us being like recouping funds for Gomez. I think that the Moss brothers have plenty of money to sign players. They don't need to recoup funds for Gomez in order to sign these players.
But typically, that's why people do this. Typically, what they do in soccer, they typically sell players.
It's a business. I get that, but
I think
that doesn't really happen in the MLS because just the way the system works. Like, you don't have these huge systems, and the salary cap really does kind of choke your ability to sign players and loan them out and things like that.
I think the biggest thing here, and it has to do with what David just said, the MLS is such a different level than these other European clubs that we're used to seeing sell off and then spend all this money on a huge player. I think the biggest thing with selling Gomez off to, especially if we get a lot of money for him, to a big European club, is that it shows these South American clubs or the South American players that they want to come to Miami. Miami could build you up. Miami could make you into a much better player, and then ship you off to Europe to play in these much larger clubs, larger leagues. So I think that's really where we're selling off Gomez comes into a big plus for Miami. Not so much, yes, we'll get money. Yes, we may be able to sign more players or whatever, but I think that's the biggest key here. I think these South American players, there's a ton of talent down there. And if they see that we're churning over these players and taking or shipping them to big leagues, they're going to want to come here too and want to do the same thing. So if Gomez could do that, if Redondo eventually will do that, I assume so. That's huge. I think that's huge for Inter Miami's sake.
And that was Facundo Farias' goal as well. He was an up and comer. He dealt with injury in South America, and I think he thought that when he would come to the United States and Miami, playing alongside of Messi, that would bring all the eyeballs and attentions to him so that he could end up going to Europe as well. Everybody would always say that Facu Farias was intended for Europe. It's devastating that he had that knee injury again, but yeah, that seems to be the model that we're looking for. We're trying to be that stepstone between the Americas and some of these not the premier teams in the Premier League, but at least for some of these feeder teams into the Premier League, that kind of that stepping stone into these big contracts for these guys.
And speaking of Farias, sorry, Jose, not to cut you off, but speaking of Farias, it gets us if Gomez were to be sold, it gets us ahead of an issue that we would run into this upcoming offseason, where Facu comes back and we're exempt right now from him being injured. But with the under 22 initiative, which I think is disappearing, if I'm not mistaken, this coming off season, but we have an exemption basically where we're allowed an extra slot right now. But come the end of the season, when Facu is slated to return for next season, we would be sort of over that threshold of how many players we have under that age. So this sort of puts us in a position where if we wanted to, all we needed to move was one more rather than being already starting +1 over. So it puts us in a position where we're already sort of preparing for the future. It would leave us with Toto, Fede, Redondo, and Farias as the 3 under 22 DPs. So I think it sets us up nicely for the future, and all those 3 potentially have a future moving somewhere else. So I think it's a good move. Like you guys said, it's a business, and turning Diego Gomez, what did we pay him? Like $1 million, and turning into 10.5 or 10 plus, whatever it may be.
They're saying 12.
Yeah, whatever it may be, it's already a fantastic investment when you look at how long he's even been here. If any of us can get that sort of return on investment in that short amount of time, we would surely do it. And yeah, it is a little funky with the MLS because to an extent, like all the big money is restricted to 3 to 5 players. So you don't need to have crazy amount of return per investment because as long as you sort of like pump it up for those few guys, then you can sort of get by with the rest of the players. So I do think it's a little different, but yeah, it'll be really interesting. As good as Diego Gomez has been, it seems like he's the likeliest candidate to go in the summer transfer, and it'll be interesting to see sort of how it plays out.
Well, one thing that I also like is that it kind of legitimizes us in a sense of for these South American guys, like Chris said, that it's you're bringing these guys and they're kind of like, I don't want to go to MLS. That's where careers go to die, right? That's what people have always felt from South America when they come over. They rather just go to Europe and go to one of the lower leagues. But when you think about, okay, we just flipped this guy, now people are seeing that, they're like, okay, there's a good training program, and they're putting us in front of a lot of people. We're going to be playing with some top talent anyway, so we can learn from these guys. Similar to when Redondo made that decision to come, which is funny, when we all were looking at the comments from these fans from where Redondo was playing at, they were so pissed. First of all, they were pissed off because they're like, how could this guy do this to his career? That's literally how it was. It was more so like, why is he doing this? But now the proof is in the pudding, where it's like, okay, where you're starting to see, you're starting to see like there's results. So, it's unfortunately because I'd rather Gomez stay, right? Me personally, I like Gomez more than Farias, personally. So it's one of those things, but it's like, what are you gonna do?
You say that now, but like when they first joined the club, do you remember how much we didn't like Gomez because of his wildly inconsistent play and
He was funky.
and how nice Farias was on the ball and his creating ability? Like it's a testament. Honestly, it's staying healthy, staying on the field, and progressing. That's something that you kind of bet on with these young guys. Unfortunately for Farias, him getting derailed with those injuries, it's all she wrote for him. And now you hope players like David Ruiz and I don't think David Ruiz is ever. I don't think he's that type of player who's ever really gonna cross the pond. But you hope that some of these other guys that we've acquired from South America will kind of pan out like Gomez, because that's the exact gamble that they took when they brought him in. I think he was always earmarked to develop and sell.
Shoot, if he plays all season like he played last season, like he played last game, he'll be out of here real quick.
Yeah, if he doesn't have 3 knee injuries.
That too. Minor details.
Staying healthy is an asset unto itself. So glad to see that Diego Gomez is seemingly on his way back. Same for Redondo. Both those guys, whatever they're able to contribute here before they leave while we have them, I think is tremendous, because honestly, when take me back to that midfield of Redondo, Gomez, and Busquets.
Control.
That was dominant. Like that, we controlled the tempo of those matches. And since both of them went down around the same time, it hasn't been the same. So I'm really excited to see really both of them come back. But if either of them is able to get playing time this coming weekend, it's gonna be really like a good feeling.
Would it be so crazy if we start deploying Busquets as a full-time center back, just so that you can have a midfield of those 2 players of Gomez and Redondo, and then maybe substitute Busquets' spot with Yannick Bright? Now you have, I feel like, a much more well-rounded midfield, and then you have just the knowledge and capability of Busquets at the center back position. Like, you're not sacrificing too much in athleticism between Busquets and Christoph. So I'd feel better if Busquets was starting full-time at center back. And I feel like that's like if you're gonna do a Tata Tinker, like that's something that would tickle me. It would make me happy to see. That's something that I'm like, okay, that's something that I think is more positive than negative. Like, yes, it's still an experiment, but I feel like it's the right kind of experiment, not like a mad scientist experiment where you put Busquets at striker.
I feel like he kind of does that already without doing that. Like he drops back Busquets a lot,
right? Which is why I'm saying it, but we haven't seen we haven't seen Bright, Redondo, and Gomez in the midfield, and then Busquets in the backfield. Like I haven't seen something like that. That's something that I would like to see. And you think he would ever do something like that?
I would love it. I think he did it once, if I'm not mistaken, that he put Busquets at center back. But I think we were so depleted at center back, they were like, all right, dude, just play, go to do that. I would love that, honestly, because it's I think he's an upgrade at center back from Christoph, to be honest. So you do that, and then you play with what's our strongest position. I've always felt like our center mids in general just are better. Like our midfield in general is very strong, with a lot of guys, a lot of depth. So I was like, well, I don't disagree. I would love it. I don't think he'll do it, but I love it.
I think it would be a bit of a waste to put Busquets in defense properly, like to have him set and designated as a defender, just because he brings so much in creativity moving forward, whether it's just connecting the defense and the offense, that pushing him back just sort of like wastes him. And we're doing it just to shoehorn in Bright. I think also we have to consider that when we have like a Redondo and a Gomez back, that helps the defense. Like that sort of gives them another layer of protection that we don't necessarily have with the players that we have currently playing. And also just, I don't know if Busquets can last a whole match of straight line sprinting back to cover Schaffelberg beating us down the wing, right? To cover for whoever got burnt on the right side.
I'm assuming that's going to be a shot on goal no matter what.
Right. But I would rather Christoph be chasing that and still have Busquets semi-fresh after the 70th minute. I like how it is systematically done right now, where he sort of rotates back at times to sort of cover or to help supplement, but I don't think it would be necessarily the right move to put him at center back. I don't think it's crazy to think that might happen, but I would prefer him just staying in the midfield and being able to tie the defense to the offense and bring his creativity more up the field. And also, like, the defense plays such a high line already. I mean, most of the time our defenders are standing at the halfway line. And again, like, man, one ball in behind, and I know it hurts us to see Christoph sort of sprint as fast as he can to chase the ball, but it would hurt even more to see Busquets just spending so much energy to lag 15 yards behind the attacker for them to get a shot on goal. So I would prefer him not necessarily be played as a defender.
I think Chris especially will be really annoyed about it. Just watching Christoph, every time you see Christoph sprinting back, it's just a drag.
Oh yeah, I can't stand watching that guy, but that's neither here nor there. I wouldn't want to see Boosie back there, to be honest, because I agree with Julio. I think he brings too much to our attack, too much creativity and passing, and he is. I know people hate when we say it, but he is a quarterback of the defense back there. He gets people into places where they should be. He helps our back line. He helps our midfield. He does a little bit of everything. So to keep him back there as a center back, I'd rather not see it. As much as I hate it, I just keep Christoph back there for now.
Why do they hate it? I don't get it.
Huh?
Why do people hate when you say that? I don't get it. The quarterback when he's a quarterback.
Oh, people don't like talking about American football.
Oh,
when it comes to soccer, yeah. Whatever.
This guy. Chris, anything else around the league that we want to talk about, or any other news?
No, Cincinnati lost this past weekend, I believe, right? Against New England.
Yes,
that's
sir.
Great. So that's great. And other teams, since we had a bye week, we have the same amount of games played as a lot of teams already at 20. Cincinnati's still one game behind us, so they still have that edge. But hey, they lost. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big one. We have them coming up on the schedule, so that's the big highlighted and circled match on the horizon. But for now, we have Saturday against Nashville. It's a later start than usual. It's 8:30 instead of 7:30. So make sure you pay attention.
It's not like you're gonna miss it.
Make sure you pay attention.
The Cincinnati game, is it here or there?
No idea.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought
we're talking about Nashville.
Schedule over. You had it circled, so I figured.
I have it circled, but like in a different office in the war room.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. We're talking about Nashville right now.
It's in Cincinnati.
There you go.
Yeah. Nugget Bob.
All right. So, on that note, thank you guys for tuning into the Heron Heads podcast. Make sure you follow us on socials at the Heron Heads and we will be live after the match on Saturday to break down all the action. And let us know what you guys think for this upcoming match in the comments. Let us know if you think we're going to come out with the win, what you guys might be betting on, which will be really interesting, and who you think is going to score the first goal. But for now, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you.